Good morning, dear students, and welcome to this session. And in this particular class, we are going to discuss the short story titled as Salvatore, which is written by William Somerset Maugham. And the short story Salvatore, apparently, it is a narrative about the life of a young Italian fisherman and his disappointments in love, but seen at a deeper level, it is actually a master character sketch of the protagonist. Because in this short story, which is titled as Salvatore, the author Somerset Maugham, he writes about a simple fisherman who lives on the Italian island of Ischia. The author begins the story by saying, I wonder if I can do it. Okay, so he was trying to do something, and he begins the story by stating that I wonder if I can do it. Then he goes on to recount the life Salvatore had. In fact, the entire story is a descriptive biography of a fisherman named Salvatore. And if you see, the first two paragraphs of the story are devoted to the fact that the narrator, who is the author himself, he was well acquainted with the character of Salvatore. In fact, he knew Salvatore from the time when he was a boy of 15 years. And in the first paragraph, he describes the physical appearance of Salvatore. He says that he had a pleasant face, laughing mouth, and carefree eyes. He also describes his daily activities. He says he used to spend the morning lying about the beach with next to nothing on. Means he was very happy-go-lucky type of character, being idle the most of the day, and just like a countryside young man, he also used to enjoy his life to the fullest. So he used to spend the morning lying about the beach, having nothing to do, and his brown body was as thin as a rail. But what is more important is that he was full of grace. He always used to go in and out of the sea all time, swimming with clumsy, effortless stroke common to the fisher boys. He used to scramble up the jagged rocks, making use of his hard feet, and he never used to wear shoes except on Sundays when he used to go to the church. He would throw himself into deep water with a cry of delight, with the joy. And his father, who was a fisherman, he owned a small vineyard. So his father used to be engaged in his work in the vineyard, whereas Salvatore used to take care of his younger brothers, of his two younger brothers. He was in fact the nursemaid to his two younger brothers. He used to take them to the shores, give them bath, and he used to make them dress. And also he used to take them to the Vine-clad hill for the frugal midday meal. But the boys in the southern parts, they grow quickly, and Salvatore also grew up very fast. And when he grew up, he fell madly in love with a very pretty girl who lived on the Grande Marina. The name of the place is Grande Marina. And we are also given a description of the girl. We are told that she had forest eyes which were like forest pools, and she used to held herself as if she was the daughter of the Caesars. Both Salvatore and the girl, when they fell madly in love, they were affianced. But they could not marry till Salvatore had done his military services. So Salvatore had to join the military services, and for that reason they could not marry. So they were affianced, and they were supposed to get married when Salvatore returns back to the island after completing his military services. And when Salvatore left the island, which he had never done in his life before, he wept like anything. He wept like a small child. He did not want to go away from his hometown, from that island of Ischia. But he had no other option, because he had to join the navy of King Victor Emmanuel. So it was very hard on his part to leave his island and to take up entirely new form of life while serving in the navy of King Victor Emmanuel. It was still harder for him to live in a battleship with the strangers instead of in a little white cottage among the vines. So when he was leaving the island of Ischia, he was also equally sad, because he was going away from his beloved. So he did not want to go away from his beloved also. So he did not want to go away from his homeland, he did not want to go away from his beloved as well. But he had no other option, so he had to go. But when he joined the navy, there he became dreadfully homesick. And hardest of all for Salvatore was to bear the absence of the girl whom he loved so passionately. So often he used to write letters to that girl in his childlike handwriting, and constantly he used to think of her and how much he longed to go back to his hometown. While serving in the navy, he was sent to different places. He was sent to Spacia, to Venice, to Bari, and finally he was sent to China. And when he was in China, he fell mysteriously ill, and that illness kept him in the hospital for months. And when he was lying on the bed of the hospital, he became even more homesick. And while being in the hospital, he learned that he was suffering from rheumatism. And this illness made him unfit, invalid for any further services in army. So when he came to know that he cannot serve in the army any further, he was very happy. He was delighted. He was exulting. Why? Because his long cherished desire was going to be fulfilled. He had no intention of serving in the navy. He always longed to go back to his home. So now, since he suffered from rheumatism, he cannot serve in the navy anymore. He was considered to be an invalid. So therefore, now he had the chance of going back to his home. So he did not bother about anything else. So when the doctor told him that he would never again be serving in the army, he was very happy. He did not care of anything else except for the fact that he wanted to go back to his home, to his little island, and he wanted to return to that girl whom he loved so passionately. Okay. So when he returned to his home, he was expecting that his beloved would be very happy to see him back. But on the contrary, he saw that when she came to know that Salvatore was suffering from rheumatism, she refused to marry Salvatore. Why? Because she could not spend her rest of her life with a man who could not work like other men. Okay. So, even the mother and father of the girl had also made up their mind, and they straight away, with blunt directness, she told Salvatore that she could not marry him because he would never be strong enough to work like a man. So imagine what might have been the condition of Salvatore at that particular moment. So when he was returning back from China, he was very happy. He had lot of hopes, aspirations that even his family members will be equally happy when they see him. He was also expecting that his beloved would be delighted to see Salvatore back in the island, because now they could marry each other. So all these hopes, aspirations of that young Italian fisherman were shattered when this girl of Grande Marina, she told him that she could not marry him because he would never be able to work like a man. And while saying so, she was not soft. She made this speech with blunt directness. And Salvatore also was equally affected, but Salvatore was courageous. He was terribly unhappy, but still he did not blame the girl. That showcases the inherent goodness in Salvatore. And we must know that a fisherman's life is very hard. They need to struggle a lot in their life. And to lead such a life, one needs to have strength and endurance. And even Salvatore understood that a girl could not afford to marry a man who may not be able to support her for the rest of her life. So his smile was very sad, and his eyes had the look of a dog that has been beaten, but still he did not complain. And he never said a harsh word against the girl whom he once loved so well. So this shows his inherent goodness. In modern day context, when a person loves someone and if he is rejected in his love, he becomes furious. He is unable to exercise any control over his emotions, and he speaks ruthlessly about that girl, and he tries to spread rumors about that girl. They can go to any extent to take revenge, for their love was not accepted or they were denied that love. But Salvatore was completely different. He never complained about that girl. He never spoke any harsh word against that girl. Instead, he understood that the girl may have been right in taking such a decision because she could not afford to spend her rest of life with a man who may not be able to support her. Okay. So we do till here. We will continue with this in the next class, and I will be uploading a note also. Please go through it. Thank you and stay blessed.